The wind had always obeyed him. Across the rolling cliffs and bright loops of green hill, Sonic the Hedgehog ran with effortless rhythm. The sky was sharp blue, the ocean sparkled in the distance, and the world felt simple, predictable. Speed solved everything. Robots, mad scientists, alien invasions. If it moved, Sonic was faster. But today the air felt wrong. A faint distortion shimmered ahead of him, barely visible, like heat rising from asphalt. Sonic slowed from Mach-level blur to a light jog, narrowing his eyes. Okay, that's not normal. Golden rings hovered nearby, spinning peacefully as always, yet between them, space bent inward. Light fractured into jagged lines. A faint hum vibrated through the ground, not mechanical, not technological, not Eggman. Sonic stepped closer, feeling the hairs on his quills stand up. The distortion pulsed once, then again, stronger. The grass around it flattened as if gravity had shifted sideways. "Oh, come on," Sonic muttered. "I just finished cleaning up last week's mess." He circled the anomaly cautiously. Normally he would dash through anything strange just to see what happened, but this felt different. Heavy. Ancient. The air tasted metallic. Suddenly, the distortion snapped open. A circular tear of swirling light ripped across the sky. Not like a ring portal, this one was jagged, unstable, bleeding streaks of violet and silver energy. The ground cracked beneath it. Sonic planted his feet. Okay, that's definitely not mine. The pull came instantly. A gravitational surge yanked him forward with irresistible force. Sonic dug his heels into the earth, carving trenches behind him. Whoa, whoa, whoa! He accelerated in the opposite direction, trying to counteract it. Normally, speed meant control. Momentum bent to his will. But this pull ignored velocity entirely. It wasn't dragging his body. It was dragging his existence. The portal swallowed him whole. There was no up or down. Colors fractured into endless spirals. Sonic felt his sense of direction shatter. He tried to run, but there was no surface. He spun mid-air, limbs flailing as currents of unknown energy wrapped around him. Okay, this is new. Strange symbols flashed past him, glowing runes written in a language older than chaos itself. The space between worlds felt dense, like running underwater, except heavier. For the first time in years, Sonic couldn't accelerate. His speed, his constant, was being suppressed. A voice echoed faintly through the distortion. Target acquired. Foreign kinetic anomaly confirmed. Sonic twisted mid-fall. Who said that? But there was no answer. Then, impact. He slammed into something solid and rolled violently across damp soil. The scent of moss and ancient trees filled his nose. He skidded into a massive tree trunk, bark splintering slightly from the collision. Silence followed. Sonic groaned and pushed himself upright. Okay, that landing, 0 out of 10. He looked around. This wasn't Green Hill. Towering trees stretched endlessly in every direction, their trunks thicker than buildings. Strange glowing plants illuminated patches of forest floor. The air felt heavier, thicker, and charged. Sonic flexed his fingers. Something pressed against his senses like invisible static. It wasn't wind resistance, it wasn't gravity, it was energy. All right, he muttered, scanning the area. Definitely not Mobius. A rustle echoed from the trees. Then another. Sonic's ears twitched. Shapes emerged from the shadows, large wolves with dark fur and crimson eyes. Their movements were disciplined, not wild. Behind them, smaller green-skinned humanoids stepped forward cautiously, gripping spears. Goblins. Sonic blinked. Huh. Didn't have goblins on today's bingo card. One massive black wolf stepped forward, its presence commanding. Its red eyes locked onto Sonic with sharp intelligence. "Identify yourself," the wolf growled. Sonic tilted his head. Okay, either I'm concussed, Or that wolf just talked. The goblins tightened formation. The wolves circled him in silent coordination. Sonic raised his hands casually. Hey, relax, I'm not here to wreck the forest. The black wolf's aura intensified, an invisible pressure radiating outward. Sonic felt it instantly. It pushed against him. Not physically, spiritually. Sonic's smirk faded slightly. Okay, now that's interesting. The wolf stepped closer. You radiate unknown energy. It does not belong to this land. Sonic crossed his arms. Buddy, I don't even know where this land is. More presences gathered. Lizard men emerging from the undergrowth, armored and alert. The atmosphere grew tense. Sonic considered running. He could map the entire forest in seconds, figure out where he was, and come back later. But something stopped him. The energy in the air. It reacted to him. It pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, as if analyzing him. As if the world itself had noticed his arrival. And far above the forest canopy, unseen by Sonic or the monsters surrounding him, a faint ripple passed through the sky, like the echo of a summoning ritual completed. Somewhere, someone had succeeded. They had reached across worlds, and they had pulled the fastest thing alive into a realm ruled not by technology or chaos, but by magic. The black wolf did not attack immediately. Instead, it studied him. Its crimson eyes narrowed, calculating. The goblins held formation, disciplined despite their obvious nervousness. These were not random forest creatures. They were organized, trained. Sonic slowly lowered his hands but didn't relax. All right, he said calmly. Let's start over. Name's Sonic. I run fast, I stop bad guys, I eat chili dogs. That's basically the resume. The wolf's ears twitched. Your tone suggests no hostility, it replied. Yet your presence disturbs the magicules of this region. Magic, what now? Before the wolf could answer, the air shifted. A different presence entered the clearing. It wasn't overwhelming like the wolf's aura. It wasn't aggressive. It was controlled, refined. The forest seemed to exhale as a blue-haired figure stepped forward from between the trees, dressed in elegant black and gold attire. Their golden eyes assessed Sonic with calm intelligence. The monsters immediately bowed. Lord Rimuru. Sonic blinked. Oh good, someone who looks less bitey. The newcomer smiled warmly. I am Rimuru Tempest, leader of the Jura Tempest Federation. Sonic raised an eyebrow. Federation? So this isn't just random goblin wolf forest? Rimuru chuckled lightly. Not quite. Inside Rimuru's mind, a cold, analytical voice spoke. Unknown life form detected. Biological structure, non-human, non-monster classification. Energy source, external dimensional origin. Threat probability, indeterminate. Rimuru kept his expression pleasant. You seem far from home. That obvious, huh? Rimuru nodded slightly. Your body emits no magicules, yet the surrounding magicules are reacting to you. Sonic glanced around. The faint shimmering particles in the air seemed to drift toward him unconsciously, like iron filings to a magnet. Is that bad? It is. Unprecedented. The black wolf stepped closer to Rimuru. Lord Rimuru. His arrival caused a spatial tremor. It was felt across the western border. Sonic winced. Oops. Rimuru's golden eyes sharpened slightly. Tell me, Rimuru said gently, how did you arrive here? Sonic shrugged. Weird portal. Not my design. Suck me in. No warning label. Rimuru's internal voice responded instantly. Conclusion. Subject was forcibly transported. Dimensional interference likely artificial. Source. Unknown. Summoner class entity. Rimuru nodded slowly. Very well. Until we understand what happened, You will be considered a guest of Tempest." The goblins exchanged confused glances. The wolf hesitated. "My lord." "I sense no malice," Rimuru said calmly. "Only velocity." Sonic grinned. "That's the nicest thing anyone said to me today." But even as Rimuru extended hospitality, the ground beneath them vibrated faintly. Sonic felt it. A pulse. Not physical, but conceptual. Like the world testing him. He crouched slightly, focusing. His instincts were screaming now, not danger, but instability. Is your forest supposed to feel like it's buffering?" Rimuru's eyes flickered. Warning. Magicule density fluctuating. Local flow distortion increasing around foreign entity. The trees rustled violently without wind. The air thickened. Then, a crack split the sky. High above the clearing, a jagged line of violet energy carved across the clouds. Unlike the portal that had dragged Sonic here, this tear was smaller but deliberate. The monsters tensed instantly. The black wolf growled. "Enemy magic!" Rimuru's aura flared subtly, pushing back the pressure. From the rift, masked figures in dark robes began descending slowly, hovering midair through magical propulsion. Their presence felt twisted, calculated. Sonic crossed his arms. "Okay, I'm guessing those guys didn't come to offer snacks." One of the masked figures raised a hand. A circular sigil ignited beneath Sonic's feet. Before he could move, glowing chains erupted from the ground and wrapped around his limbs. Sonic tried to dash. Nothing happened. His legs moved, but the world didn't respond. His speed stalled. His eyes widened. Okay, that's cheating. The chains weren't gripping his body. They were binding momentum itself. Rimuru's mind accelerated into analysis. Binding magic, conceptual restraint. Target, kinetic authority. Objective, suppression of velocity-based anomaly. The lead masked figure lowered slowly to the ground, cloak flowing unnaturally. "Interdimensional specimen secured," the figure said coldly. "Energy signature confirmed. Extraction will begin." Sonic strained, muscles tensing. Blue sparks flickered faintly around him, but each time he tried to accelerate, the sigil glowed brighter. Rimuru stepped forward, eyes no longer gentle. "You dare conduct a summoning within my territory?" The masked figure turned its gaze toward Rimuru. "Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest, your involvement is inconvenient." The goblins and wolves moved instantly into battle formation. Sonic exhaled slowly. "All right," he muttered. "New world, new bad guys, same old problem." He closed his eyes. If they were binding speed, then he needed to understand what speed truly was. Not just motion, not just distance over time. Speed was freedom. It was will. It was refusing to be stopped. The chains tightened. The sigil pulsed brighter. The masked sorcerers began chanting in unison. Above them, the rift widened. And deep within the forest of Tempest, the balance of this magical world trembled. Because something impossible had just been restrained, and it was about to push back. The chains constricted further. Glowing runes crawled along their length, shifting symbols that rewrote the rules of motion itself. Sonic could feel it now, an invisible weight pressing against his existence, as if the world had suddenly decided he was not allowed to move. The masked sorcerer's chant deepened. "Stabilize the anomaly. Anchor the kinetic deviation. Extract the core principle." Sonic's jaw tightened. "Core principle? I'm not a science project." Rimuru stepped forward, his aura expanding like a tidal wave. The pressure alone forced the goblins to shield their faces. "Release him," Rimuru Tempest said calmly. The lead sorcerer tilted its masked head. The summoning ritual targeted a velocity constant beyond this world's limit. "We have succeeded. Do not interfere." So this was intentional, Sonic muttered through clenched teeth. Great Sage's analytical voice echoed within Rimuru's mind. Confirmation. Foreign faction conducted cross-dimensional summoning. Objective. Weaponization of kinetic anomaly. Risk assessment. High. Rimuru's golden eyes sharpened. You used my land as your ritual ground, Rimuru said. That is already a mistake. The sigil beneath Sonic flared violently. The chains pulsed, and a strange force tugged at him not outward but inward, as if something was trying to dissect the idea of speed from his being. For the first time since arriving, Sonic felt something close to anger. Okay, I've had enough. He closed his eyes again, not in panic, but in focus. Speed had always come naturally. He never questioned it. He ran, and the world followed. But now, the world was resisting. So he would redefine the relationship. The air around him began to vibrate faintly. At first, it was subtle, a hum beneath the chanting. The grass quivered. The chains rattled slightly. One of the sorcerers faltered. The binding circle is destabilizing. That is impossible, the leader snapped. The restraint targets the concept. Crack. Wing chains. Sonic opened his eyes. They glowed faintly blue. You're right, he said quietly. Speed isn't just movement. The vibrations intensified. It's choice. The fracture spread across all the chains at once. Rimuru's internal analysis accelerated. Unknown energy surge detected. Foreign entity adapting to world law. Probability. Evolutionary response. The sigil beneath Sonic began to spin wildly. Unable to maintain structural integrity. It's freedom! Sonic shouted. With a thunderous shockwave, the chains shattered into fragments of fading light. The pressure vanished instantly. Before the sorcerers could react, Sonic disappeared. No blur. No streak. Just absence. The lead sorcerer's mask cracked slightly as Sonic reappeared directly in front of him. You picked the wrong hedgehog. The punch landed. The impact detonated the air like a compressed storm. The sorcerer shot backward, crashing through 3 massive trees before slamming into the ground. The other masked figures scrambled to retaliate, launching torrents of magic, flames, lightning, gravity distortions. Sonic moved between them faster than thought. One by one, they fell, not killed, but disarmed, knocked unconscious before they could even complete a spell. Rimuru watched carefully, astonishment hidden behind composure. Subject's velocity has synchronized partially with local magicule flow. Hypothesis: he is not using magic. He is bending environmental energy through kinetic pressure alone. The sky rift above flickered erratically. Without the ritual stability, it began collapsing inward. Sue appeared beside Rimuru in a shadowed flash. Lord Rimuru, the tier will implode. Sonic skidded to a stop beneath the unstable rift, looking upward. Let me guess, he said. If that thing blows, bad news? Very bad, Rimuru replied. The collapsing tear began pulling surrounding magicules violently, creating a vortex that tore branches from trees. Sonic cracked his neck lightly. All right. Round 2 with portals. He took a deep breath. Then he ran. Circling the base of the vortex, he accelerated gradually, not recklessly, but with control. Each step compressed air, each stride built pressure. A cyclone formed around the rift, spinning counter to its implosion. Rimuru widened his eyes slightly. He's counter-rotating the spatial collapse. The vortex condensed. The tear shrank. Faster. Faster. Sonic pushed beyond previous limits, the ground fracturing beneath his feet. Almost. There. Rimuru extended his hand. channeling precise magic control. As Sonic compressed the distortion to a concentrated point, Rimuru sealed it within layered barriers of energy. With a blinding flash, silence returned. The forest stood intact. The sky was whole. Only scattered fragments of fading violet light remained where the rift had been. Sonic slowed to a stop, breathing lightly but steady. "Well," he said, dusting off his gloves. That was dramatic. The goblins stared at him in awe. The Black Wolf stepped forward slowly. "You defied a conceptual binding." Sonic shrugged. "Guess I'm stubborn." Rimuru approached, studying him more seriously now. "You are far more dangerous than you appear." Sonic grinned. "Yeah, I get that a lot." But even as calm returned, Rimuru felt it. A residue. The ritual had not fully failed. Somewhere beyond Tempest's borders, someone had observed everything. They had summoned speed across dimensions, and they had just witnessed it break their chains. This was not the end of the disturbance. It was the beginning. Sonic stood in the clearing, brushing leaves from his quill. The forest was eerily calm now. The tension from the summoner's ritual completely dissipated, yet a subtle hum lingered in the air. Not the kind of hum machines made, not the kind of hum Eggman ever unleashed. This was watching. Rimuru stepped forward, their expression unreadable, though their eyes held a spark of curiosity. "Your abilities. They are unlike anything in this world," Rimuru said. "You do not use magicules, yet you interacted with them as though they obeyed your will." Sonic scratched the back of his head. I just run. If the magic stuff is in my way, I guess I sort of move it. I don't really think about it." Rimuru tilted their head. Great Sage analyzed Sonic silently, its voice only audible in Rimuru's mind. Analysis. Velocity dominion phenomenon detected. Subject not only bypassed magical restraints, but manipulated local energy flow through kinetic resonance. Potential for future adaptation extreme. Sonic looked around the forest, the glow of the strange plants casting faint blue and green reflections across his quills. "So, what does all that mean, in normal words?" Rimuru allowed a small smile. "It means you are remarkable." The Black Wolf approached cautiously, still tense but more intrigued than hostile. "Your presence here is anomalous, but you have protected the forest. How does one such as you exist?" Sonic grinned and spun once in place. "Fastest thing alive. Works for free. Kind of a hero, kind of a nuisance." Then he shrugged. "Mostly just likes a good adventure." The wolf's gaze softened slightly. "Then you are welcome to remain, for now." Its tone lacked the previous sharpness, more of acknowledgement than command. From behind the trees, Shion and Benimaru emerged, their forms imposing yet relaxed. They had watched the display from a distance, measuring Sonic's speed, strength, and unpredictability. Even Milim hovered above, eyes wide with excitement. "He's fun! I want a rematch!" she exclaimed, bouncing lightly in the air. Sonic's grin widened. "I like your style, Dragon Girl, but maybe later. I need a break from all this heavy-duty magic stuff." He glanced back toward the rift that had pulled him here. Though sealed, he could still sense residual energy leaking from the dimensional fracture. But hey, someone tried to trap me. That could happen again. Rimuru's gaze sharpened. Indeed, the summoner's intent was not neutral. Their goal was to weaponize your velocity. That they failed does not mean they will cease attempts. Sonic leaned against a tree, tapping his foot. Sounds like a real party. Good thing I like parties. He looked around at the Tempest warriors. So, you've got a big problem with outsiders using your forest as a playground. Got it. I get it. I promise I don't do that. Rimuru folded his arms, flames flickering faintly along his forearms. You survived attacks that would have killed a normal. Your reflexes, your speed, they are extraordinary. Sonic shrugged. Well, I have to stay ahead of trouble somehow, right? He paused, then added quietly, almost to himself, guess this world has its own kind of trouble. Rimuru stepped closer, hands clasped behind their back. The forest is stabilized, but your presence here creates resonance. Energy patterns shift subtly around you. This is not inherently dangerous, but it is unique. Most beings cannot withstand the interdimensional strain your arrival imposed. Sonic smirked. That's me. Unique, baby. Rimuru's lips curved into a soft smile. I will admit, I am curious. This power of yours, it is not just physical. There is a will, a freedom, a spirit that cannot be restrained by even the strongest magicules. That is rare, indeed. Sonic tilted his head. You sound impressed. I like that. Not often people get it. From the tree line, Sue approached, silent as ever. Lord Rimuru, are we certain this anomaly is safe to remain? Rimuru nodded. For now. His intentions appear neutral, and as we have seen, his capability to act independently, to adapt, is extraordinary. He may prove an asset, if we allow it. Sonic stretched, cracking his shoulders. Asset, huh? I can do that. But you gotta promise I don't have to sit in boring meetings or politics stuff. I like moving. Rimuru chuckled softly. Agreed. For now, you will move freely. Explore. Learn. Understand the world you have entered. Sonic's grin returned in full. Now we're talking. Adventure and freedom. My kind of combo. The forest seemed to respond. Leaves shimmered faintly, and a gentle breeze swept through, carrying with it the sense of moss, wet earth, and something distinctly magical. Sonic inhaled deeply. For the first time since arriving, he felt welcome. Not just a visitor, not just an intruder. The black wolf nodded once, stepping aside. Then walk freely. But know this, Tempest watches, and we notice all disturbances. Sonic laughed lightly. Noted. I promise I won't get into too much trouble, maybe. Rimuru placed a hand on their chin thoughtfully. You may rest here, but be prepared. The instability that brought you to this world has not been entirely resolved. You are a variable now, a force that could be targeted again. Sonic grinned and tilted his head toward the distant horizon. Sounds like more fun to me. I didn't come here for boring anyway. The trees rustled as if acknowledging his words, and in that moment, a faint glimmer in the sky hinted at distant possibilities, residual energy from the dimensional rift that had transported him. Sonic's sharp blue eyes caught it, sensing a subtle pull, a whisper of adventure yet to come. Well, he said aloud, voice carrying through the clearing. This world just got a little faster. Rimuru watched him, golden eyes calm, yet thoughtful. Great sage spoke internally. Subject has acclimated to local environmental energy. Potential for synergistic evolution with magicules detected. Long-term presence may alter regional energy patterns. Sonic kicked off a small stone, watching it spin across the clearing. His grin remained, but a flicker of focus passed over his eyes. All right, Tempest, he muttered. Let's see what you've got for me. The forest held its breath. For the first time in the Jura Tempest Federation, a being from another world had arrived. Fast, free, and unstoppable. And even as he smiled, every creature nearby could sense that his presence would change the balance of their world. And somewhere far beyond, hidden eyes watched. The summoner's plan had failed, but the arrival of Sonic had not gone unnoticed. The stage was set. A new force had entered Tempest, and the adventure was only beginning. The morning sun filtered through the dense foliage of the Jura Tempest Federation's forest, casting dappled light across the ground. Sonic stretched his legs, cracking his knuckles, already impatient. After the chaos of the portal incident, the forest seemed calm, but the hum of latent magic still lingered in the air, a constant reminder that this world was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Sonic paced back and forth, tapping his foot. 3 days here, and still no action. Seriously? A new world? Mysterious portals? Weird chains that tried to stop me? And now, everyone's acting like it's just another Tuesday. He glanced at the surrounding monsters, goblins, wolves, lizardmen, who had mostly returned to their daily duties, but still kept a watchful eye. Come on, you guys. I run all day for fun. You gotta give me something to fight. Benimaru, leaning against a tree with his arms crossed and a faint flame flickering along his forearms, raised an eyebrow. Do you always need to fight, creature of speed? Sonic laughed, spinning in place. Hey, it's not just fighting, it's testing limits, adventure, explosions. I mean, you guys just let me show off for a couple of portal dudes, and now you're acting like I'm the guest who's overstaying? Milim Nava floated nearby, bouncing slightly with excitement. Test limits. Oh, that sounds so much fun. Can I fight him first? She stretched her tiny dragon wings, her aura glowing faintly, vibrating the air around her. Sonic smirked. Not unless you're ready to get spun into a blue tornado. He twirled and zipped a few meters in a flash, leaving a faint afterimage behind. Milim's eyes widened, and she let out a giggle. He's fast. Really fast. Rimuru watched the interaction quietly, their golden eyes analyzing Sonic's every motion. Great Sage whispered internally. Observation. Subject displays extreme kinetic potential, capable of exceeding measured physical and magical limits. Combat adaptability. Exceptional. Risk assessment. Friendly in appearance, but unpredictable. Rimuru stepped forward, hands clasped behind their back. Sonic, if you wish to test your limits, we can arrange a controlled sparring session. It will allow you to gauge your abilities in this world without unnecessary destruction. Sonic grinned. Now that sounds like my kind of fun. Let's do it. Cheyenne appeared immediately, unsheathing her massive sword with a fluid motion. The blade gleamed in the morning light. I will spar with him first, she said calmly, her aura radiating latent power. This will test his reflexes and combat instincts. Sonic tilted his head. Big sword. Nice. I like it. Don't hold back, okay? With a burst of energy, Xian charged. Sonic dashed forward, a streak of blue in the sunlight. The ground fractured slightly beneath his speed as he maneuvered, and Xian swung her blade in a downward arc meant to crush him. Sonic vanished mid-strike, appearing behind her in a blink. He tapped her shoulder lightly. Too slow. Xian's expression remained calm. She spun with inhuman precision, forcing Sonic to pivot mid-air to avoid another strike. The clash of their movements sent shockwaves across the clearing, and leaves rustled violently as air currents tore through the forest. Not bad, Sonic said, grinning. I like your style. From the sidelines, Rimuru released a small burst of black flames. They spiraled toward Sonic, intense and scorching. Sonic didn't even blink. He spun rapidly in a tight circle, creating a vortex that redirected the flames harmlessly outward. The aftershock lifted dirt and leaves into the air. Rimuru's eyes widened slightly, golden irises scanning the scene. Great Sage's analytical voice grew faster. Analysis. Subject's velocity is now sufficient to manipulate environmental energy. External magical effects are being partially negated through kinetic resonance. Probability of skill escalation, high. Milim bounced excitedly. My turn, he's fun. Sonic stopped briefly, grinning. Bring it on, Dragon Girl. She charged, her aura flaring with raw dragon energy. The air shimmered violently as she unleashed a concentrated magical beam, bright and scorching, aiming directly at Sonic. He instinctively accelerated, but this time he felt resistance. The energy in the beam wasn't ordinary magic. It pulsed with raw intent, bending reality around it. Sonic felt his speed partially countered by the sheer weight of Milim's magic, and for the first time, he experienced hesitation. Sonic spun rapidly in place, forming a tight blue cyclone. The beam twisted, bending around him in a wide arc as the vortex distorted space slightly. Sonic felt the rush of pressure against him, the raw density of magicules clashing with his kinetic force. Rimuru's internal analysis accelerated exponentially. New variable detected. Interaction. Subject's kinetic energy is partially converting and dispersing external magical energy. Combat potential, comparable to high-level demon lords. Sonic grinned through the pressure. Okay, that's different, but I like different. He dashed straight toward Milim at top speed. The impact sent both of them skidding backward. Milim's eyes widened in shock. He hit me! Rimuru quickly intervened, his hands radiating a soft golden glow. Enough. That is sufficient. He examined Sonic carefully. Observation. Subject's body is adapting to ambient magicules. Resistance to magical assault is increasing. Adaptive evolution probable. Sonic stood, brushing leaves off his quills. Wow. Okay, so this world isn't just goblins and wolves. You got real power here. I like it. Rimuru nodded. Your abilities are extraordinary. You adapt in ways even I did not anticipate. Magic interacts with your kinetic force unpredictably, yet you maintain full control. It is fascinating. Sonic smirked. Fascinating, huh? That's one way to put it. I call it fun. High above the forest canopy, faint echoes of the previous rift shimmered in the distance. Sonic could feel a residual pull, a whisper from the dimensional tear that had brought him here. The forest was safe for now, but the instability had not completely disappeared. Sonic cracked his neck and smiled. Looks like this world isn't done with me yet. Neither am I done with it. Rimuru's eyes glimmered, a mixture of calculation and curiosity. Indeed, the interaction between your speed and our world's magic will have consequences, both immediate and long-term. We must monitor it closely. Sonic grinned widely. Monitoring, huh? Sounds like a plan. But I gotta warn you, I don't like standing still. The forest held its breath. Leaves shimmered faintly. The magicules stirred by Sonic's kinetic energy. The blue blur of motion was no longer just an intruder. It was becoming a new force in the Jura Tempest Federation, unpredictable, unstoppable, and exhilarating. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a faint ripple in the magical air hinted at more disturbances yet to come. Sonic's grin widened. Bring it on. Let's see what this world can do. And with that, The stage was set for the next round of trials. Speed versus magic. An unprecedented battle of raw kinetic force against the most potent mystical energy in the Tempest world. The clearing still smelled of damp earth and scorched leaves from the previous sparring session, but Sonic was already bouncing on his heels, restless as ever. The forest had grown quiet again, the goblins and wolves retreating to their posts, while Rimuru, Benimaru, Shion, and Milim stood nearby, observing him with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "All right," Sonic muttered, brushing dirt from his quills. "So far I've faced trees, wolves, goblins, and a dragon girl with a big magic laser. That's fun and all, but I need more intensity." Milim flapped her wings excitedly. "I volunteer. Let's see how fast you really are." Sonic grinned. "Bring it on. I hope you're ready." He darted forward in a blur, leaving a streak of blue through the air. Milim immediately activated her aura, her dragon energy flaring bright red as she prepared a barrage of magical attacks. Sonic ran circles around her at incredible speeds, dodging bursts of energy that would have obliterated a normal being. Leaves and rocks were sent flying as his kinetic force disrupted the magical projectiles. But unlike before, he could feel the weight of her power pushing against him. He had never encountered magic that was this dense, this forceful. "Whoa, okay, that's new," Sonic said through gritted teeth, accelerating further. He spun into a tight cyclone midair, sending Milim's beams scattering harmlessly into the forest. Rimuru's golden eyes narrowed. Great Sage's analytical voice filled Rimuru's mind. Subject's velocity is now interacting with ambient magicules at a higher density. External magical effects partially neutralized by kinetic resonance. Adaptive evolution accelerating exponentially. Combat potential now comparable to mid-tier demon lords. Milim's eyes widened. He's adapting. I can't hit him." Sonic laughed, dashing straight toward her at breakneck speed. Milim tried to unleash a second beam, but Sonic had already reached her, tapping her lightly on the shoulder, before skidding to a halt. "Too slow," Sonic called. "You gotta do better than that." Milim giggled and shook her head, clearly thrilled. "I've never met anyone who moves like that." Meanwhile, Shion had readied herself for a different type of challenge. She stepped forward, her massive blade glowing faintly as she charged. Sonic's eyes widened slightly. Her attacks were precise and deadly. Unlike Milim's chaotic energy, Shion's strikes were calculated, each movement honed for maximum efficiency. Sonic dashed toward her, weaving between her slashes, twisting in midair, and leaving streaks of blue afterimages. Each dodge forced Shion to adjust rapidly, her sword slicing through air where Sonic had just been. Benimaru observed closely, flames flickering along his arms. Interesting. His reflexes aren't just fast, they anticipate energy flow. Even against magic, he predicts movement patterns. Sonic felt a thrill surge through him. This was more than fun. This was a challenge. He spun into a high-speed tornado, forcing the surrounding air to ripple violently. Shion leapt backward to avoid the vortex, her blade slicing through nothing but displaced air. Rimuru stepped forward, golden eyes scanning Sonic's movements. Great Sage whispered almost excitedly. Observation. Subject is unconsciously converting kinetic energy into partial magical dispersion. Skill evolution is ongoing. Probability of permanent adaptation to magicules increasing. Sonic felt it too, a strange resonance in his legs and quills. The magic in the forest wasn't just resisting him, it was interacting with him, bending around his speed, altering the way he moved, every twist, Every dash felt like the world itself was responding. He grinned. Okay, this is really fun. Milim floated down, still giggling. He's amazing. Can I try again? Can I? Can I? Sonic smirked. Go for it, Dragon Girl. Let's see what you've got. Milim unleashed a concentrated burst of energy, aimed directly at Sonic. This time, he felt the pressure immediately. It pushed against him like a wall, bending reality around his path. For the first time, Sonic realized that raw speed alone wasn't enough. He had to think differently. He adjusted his movements, weaving, spinning, and redirecting the energy through rapid air displacement. The magical beam bent around him, twisting in midair before dissipating harmlessly. Sonic landed lightly on a tree root, brushing himself off. Whoa, okay, that was close, he muttered. You almost got me there. Rimuru stepped closer, observing the phenomenon closely. His body is synchronizing with the ambient magicules. He is not using magic, yet he is dispersing and redirecting it through kinetic manipulation. Fascinating. Sonic glanced at Rimuru. You're impressed, huh? Rimuru nodded slightly. Yes, but be aware the summoners who brought you here may notice your adaptation. Your presence alone is already altering the flow of energy in this forest. Sonic's grin widened. Then it said, Speed meets magic. Can't wait to see how that ends. The forest rustled, leaves shimmering faintly. Even distant creatures seemed to sense the unusual energy radiating from Sonic. He wasn't just fast, he was becoming something more. Something that could bend this magical world without touching it directly. All right, Sonic said aloud, eyes narrowing with focus. Let's see if Tempest can keep up with the fastest thing alive. And with a sudden burst of speed, he was gone, streaking across the forest like a living lightning bolt, leaving after images that flickered and twisted as they interacted with the dense magicules lingering in the air. Rimuru watched thoughtfully. Speed against magic. This will be a test like no other. Somewhere high above, unnoticed, faint ripples in the magical sky hinted at distant eyes observing the blue blur, waiting for the outcome. Sonic was ready. The forest would not know what hit it. Sonic's legs blurred into streaks of blue and white as he darted through the forest, weaving between massive trees and leaping over jagged roots. The dense magicules that permeated the Jura Tempest forest rippled against his speed, creating trails of flickering energy in his wake. Every step he took seemed to tug at the fabric of the world itself, bending ambient magic around him. New goal, Sonic muttered under his breath, grinning. If I can turn their magic against them. From above, the masked summoners observed him. They hovered in midair, cloaks billowing unnaturally, chanting in unison. Their sigils burned with violet light, hovering around their hands like hovering discs of pure energy. One of them raised a staff, and a spiraling column of magical energy shot toward Sonic. Sonic dashed forward, but this time he wasn't just dodging. His speed began to interact with the energy. He twisted midair, spinning so rapidly that the magic pillar bent round him. He felt the raw power pushing against his limbs, but his velocity was overwhelming it. The spell distorted, then broke apart harmlessly against the forest floor. Whoa, Sonic said, landing lightly on a tree branch. Okay, that's new. Not bad for my first run-in with magic that actually tries to fight me. Milim floated nearby, her eyes wide with excitement. He's amazing. Look at how he moves. He's actually bending my magic. Rimuru, observing carefully, tilted their head. He is not using magic, yet his kinetic energy is interacting with the magical flow. Essentially, his speed is rewriting the way magic travels in real time. Great Sage's analytical voice chimed in urgently. Assessment. Subject's kinetic force acts as a semi-magic conduit, capable of neutralizing multiple high-level spells simultaneously. Probability of mastery over magical interactions increasing rapidly. One of the summoners frowned beneath their mask. Impossible. No being should be able to manipulate magical currents without training or innate power. Sonic smirked, spinning midair and creating a miniature vortex that sucked in stray magicules. Guess I'm full of surprises. You guys keep trying to hit me. I'll just, recycle your energy. That work for you? The summoner's leader slammed their staff onto the air, creating a massive expanding sigil on the ground. The runes glowed violently, a binding spell meant to pin Sonic in place and suppress his velocity. The forest trembled under its power. Sonic stopped abruptly mid-dash, feeling the first serious resistance since arriving in Tempest. The sigil radiated an energy unlike anything he had experienced. It wasn't just magical, it was conceptual. It tried to define his very motion, to impose a rule on something that had never known limits. Okay, Sonic muttered, narrowing his eyes. You really want to play rough? Fine. He clenched his fists, and for the first time he consciously focused, not on running, but on how he ran. Every stride, every twitch, every muscle contracted and expanded in perfect harmony. The energy around him began to ripple, bending the sigil like water around a rock. The summoner's chants grew frantic. Accelerate the extraction! Immobilize the anomaly! But Sonic was no longer just reacting. He was dictating. The violet chains of magical restraint twisted, splintered, and shattered under the pressure of his kinetic resonance. The sigil cracked, sending jagged lines of energy into the trees, which vibrated violently but remained intact. Sonic shot out of the collapsing spell like a blue lightning bolt. Too slow, he said cheerfully, zipping past the summoners in a blur. The afterimages left by his movements flickered and distorted the magic lingering in the air, bending their spells into harmless arcs. Milim floated closer, eyes wide. He's actually using his speed to control magic. Rimuru's brow furrowed slightly, golden eyes following the streaking hedgehog. His body is effective converting kinetic energy into a form of magical dispersion. This is unprecedented. No known entity in this world could resist multiple high-level binding spells and adapt instantly to environmental magicules in this way. Sonic skidded to a stop in front of the lead summoner. The ground beneath him cracked and smoking. Okay, so you guys want to play seriously? I can play seriously too. He clenched his fists and sprinted in circles around them, faster than the eye could follow. A cyclone of wind, dust, and shimmering residual magic enveloped the summoners, disrupting their formations and throwing their spells off course. Impossible, the leader shouted. He is not supposed to... Before the summoner could finish, Sonic vanished in a streak of blue and reappeared directly above the floating sigil, landing in a crouch. The energy erupted outward harmlessly in all directions, the residual magic redirected and neutralized. Sonic's grin was wide, teeth gleaming. See? Speed isn't just moving fast. It's thinking fast, feeling fast, being fast. That's how I beat stuff like you. Rimuru's golden eyes softened slightly. Remarkable. His speed is not merely physical. It interacts with magical currents, almost like an extension of his will. The potential here, it is enormous. The summoners, now scrambling to recover, glanced at each other nervously. Sonic's velocity wasn't just making them miss, it was destabilizing the very spells they had trained their lives to master. Sonic spun in place, creating a spiral of blue light that stretched across the clearing. Leaves, dust, and residual magical energy danced in his wake. "Okay," he muttered. Lesson 1. Speed beats magic. Lesson 2. Don't underestimate me. And Lesson 3. Well, that one's for later. Even the forest seemed to hum around him. The energy was alive, responding to Sonic's motion. He wasn't just fast. He was a force of nature in Tempest, bending magic in ways no one had seen before. And far above the trees, faint ripples in the sky whispered of a distant observer, taking note of the blue blur whose speed could challenge even the most potent magic of the Jura Tempest Federation. Sonic laughed, spinning again. "Bring it on, world! Let's see what else you've got." The air around the clearing had grown thick with magical energy, pulsing in irregular waves as Sonic zipped between trees, his after-images twisting the very currents of magic around him. The summoners had regrouped, their eyes narrowing behind their masks as they unleashed a coordinated assault of binding spells, energy blasts, and elemental torrents. "Focus!" the lead summoner shouted. "We immobilize the anomaly together!" Sonic grinned, crouched, and bolted. At first, his movement was a blur, dodging fire, lightning, and chains that sought to restrict him. But the longer he ran, the more he felt a new rhythm. Each step didn't just move him, it pulled the magic around him, bending it to his momentum. He twisted in midair, generating a small cyclone that drew a fireball harmlessly upward, redirected a lightning bolt into a tree, and sent a chain of energy spiraling back toward the summoners. The impact slammed into the ground in a harmless explosion, rocking them backward but leaving them unscathed. "Impossible," one shouted. "How does he bend magic with speed alone?" Sonic stopped, landing lightly on a boulder, quills fluttering in the wind. He turned toward them with a cocky grin. "Simple. Magic tries to tell me what to do. I just don't listen." Rimuru's golden eyes studied him intently, the analytical mind working at full capacity. Observation. Subject's kinetic resonance is stabilizing against ambient magical currents. Reaction rate exceeds predicted maximum for interdimensional entities. Current velocity, dispersion, and partial absorption of multi-element spells. Conclusion. Subject is rewriting the rules of motion versus magic in real time. The summoners recovered, forming a defensive circle. The leader raised their staff high, summoning a massive spinning sigil that glowed brighter than the sun through the forest canopy. A deep rumble echoed through the trees, the energy heavy and oppressive. Sonic's grin widened. "Oh, now we're talking. Big flashy stuff? I like it." He dashed forward, faster than ever, leaving dozens of afterimages in his wake. Each step ripped through the magical field like a blade through silk. The spinning sigil reached out to trap him, but Sonic's kinetic resonance distorted the flow. The sigil's spinning runes fractured, floating in the air like shattered glass. "Your speed," the summoner leader gasped, struggling to maintain control. "No one should move like that." Sonic twirled into a tight vortex, creating a spinning wall of air around himself. The surrounding magic was pulled into the cyclone, twisting and bending with the centrifugal force. Energy bolts collided with the vortex, exploding harmlessly outside its radius. Milim hovered nearby, her eyes wide. "He's not just fast, he's controlling the magic itself, That's insane. Xian readied her sword again, analyzing the new phenomenon. Sonic wasn't just dodging attacks anymore. He was dominating the battlefield, using his speed to manipulate magical forces directly. Sonic zipped toward the summoners in a flash, their defensive circle shattering as he created after-images in rapid succession, each one dispersing their spells. Within seconds, the summoners were forced to retreat, trying to regroup. "Not bad for a stranger in my forest," Rimuru said, stepping forward. "Your speed isn't merely physical anymore. It has become a form of adaptive energy, capable of interacting with magicules on a systemic level." Sonic leaned against a tree, catching his breath briefly. "Yeah, I kinda noticed. Feels powerful. Weird, but powerful." Suddenly, the sky above the forest rippled. The distant remnant of the dimensional rift that had brought Sonic here quivered, releasing faint tendrils of energy. Sonic's sharp blue eyes caught it instinctively. The summoner's attention immediately snapped upward as well, their masks reflecting sudden panic. "That rift," the leader muttered. "It's destabilizing further." Sonic grinned. "Looks like someone else wants to play too. Maybe it's time for round 2. With a burst of acceleration, Sonic launched himself into the air, twisting mid-flight to intercept the rift's energy tendrils. Each strike of his kinetic force disrupted the flowing magical energy, sending sparks of violet light scattering across the forest canopy. The summoners were caught between defending themselves and containing the rift, unable to match the Jura Tempest Federation had regained its calm after the chaos caused by Sonic's arrival and the clash with the summoners, but beneath the forest floor, a tension lingered. The shattered remnants of violet sigils still pulsed faintly in hidden pockets of the forest, faint echoes of the summoners' failed attempt to bind the blue blur. Somewhere far beyond the borders of Tempest, a cloaked figure observed the disturbance, eyes glowing faintly behind a silver mask. "Failed," the figure hissed, voice a chilling whisper that cut through the still air. "Impossible. The velocity anomaly should have been contained." And yet, 2 figures appeared silently beside them, cloaked and masked, their presence almost indistinguishable from the shadows. "The subject has adapted too quickly," one said. "It is evolving beyond expectations. Our magic, our plans, it is insufficient to control him." The first figure slammed a gauntleted hand against a dark crystal, and the violet sigils lit up across its surface. "We cannot underestimate this interloper. If he remains in Tempest, he may disrupt all future operations. Every contingency we have devised will fail." The second figure tilted its head, a subtle curiosity in their tone. "He is unpredictable, but perhaps that is an opportunity. If we cannot control him, we might manipulate him." The first figure's eyes glowed brighter beneath the mask. "Manipulate? How?" "He is fast, cunning, and unbound. The binding spells failed because he defies not only physical speed, but the concept of restraint itself. No ordinary entity could have survived what he did." A silence fell, heavy and deliberate. Then the first figure spoke again, voice low and sharp. "We will need to escalate. Summoners of the lower order cannot handle him. We require the full force of the Council, and more importantly, a lure." The second figure's lips curved beneath the mask. "A lure, a temptation he cannot resist, something that draws him out of the forest, away from Rimuru's protection." "Exactly," the first figure hissed. "We will study his behavior, learn his desires. His nature is simple but effective. He seeks challenge, speed, freedom. We will exploit that, and once he is isolated..." Their fingers tapped the crystal impatiently. We will strike. Far below the forest, in a hidden cavern of obsidian stone, magical symbols twisted and writhed along the walls. Crystals pulsed faintly, siphoning ambient energy. The summoners had set up a nexus, a monitoring and amplification point to study Sonic's interactions with Tempest's magical currents. Inside, a figure bent over the largest crystal, its surface reflecting a distorted image of Sonic streaking through the anomaly's kinetic signature is increasing exponentially, the figure muttered. Every interaction with Magicules amplifies his velocity, even beyond what our calculations predicted. Another figure added, he is not merely fast, he is adapting. Each spell he encounters becomes slightly less effective, almost as if his body is rewriting the rules of energy interaction. The first figure nodded, eyes narrowing. Yes, that is the key. He is evolving, and evolution is predictable, at least in part. We will not fight him directly, not yet. Instead, we will study, bait, and create circumstances where he chooses to engage us. A third figure, cloaked in deeper shadows, raised a hand and traced sigils in the air. I have located the residual rift energy. Its instability still resonates with him. If we manipulate it carefully, we can create a pathway to draw him into an isolated location. The first figure's masked gaze sharpened. Good. Then prepare it. But remember, the Council must remain in the shadows. Sonic must believe this is his own choice, his own adventure. Only then will our plan succeed. Meanwhile, high above the forest, Sonic zipped through the trees, his blue streak darting between branches, leaping over fallen logs, and leaving trails of wind in his wake. He paused on a cliff edge overlooking the distant valley, golden sunlight glinting off his quills. All right, he muttered, catching his breath. So far, Tempest is fun. Magic's weird, everyone's strong, and apparently there's more out there than just forest monsters. But I get the feeling someone's watching me. Sonic's sharp instincts tingled. The forest seemed calm, almost too calm. The residual traces of the summoner's failed binding spells pulsed faintly in his peripheral senses, echoes that suggested observation, planning, and intent. Yep, he muttered with a grin. Definitely trouble coming. I can feel it. Deep inside the forest, Rimuru stood with Cheyenne, Benimaru, and Sue. Their expressions were calm, but the golden glow of Rimuru's eyes betrayed their calculation. The summoners who attempted the binding. There is more to their plan than the initial assault, Rimuru said quietly. They are intelligent, patient, and aware of the anomaly that arrived in our forest. Their goal is not merely to eliminate it, they seek to manipulate it. Xian's hand rested lightly on her sword. So the attacks were just a test? Rimuru nodded. A preliminary engagement. They observed how Sonic interacts with magic and the environment, likely to plan future contingencies. The residual energy in the forest confirms ongoing monitoring. We must assume they are devising a larger scheme. Sonic landed beside Rimuru with a flourish, brushing dust from his gloves. Larger scheme, huh? Well, sounds like my kind of challenge. I like challenges. Milim hovered nearby, eyes sparkling. He's fearless. That's so exciting. Let's see what happens next. Rimuru's golden eyes remained steady, their voice calm, yet firm. Fearless, yes, but that same trait makes him a target. The summoners will exploit his nature. They will create scenarios to draw him out. We must ensure he does not act recklessly and fall into their trap. Sonic's grin widened. Trap. Shmrap. I've been thrown through portals, almost chained by magic, and zapped by energy beams that bend reality. If that doesn't stop me, your mysterious summoners won't either. Rimuru's expression remained thoughtful. Confidence is valuable, but caution is necessary. They are patient, strategic, and willing to manipulate entire events to achieve their objective. We must prepare for interference that is more subtle than brute force. Sonic crouched, hands on his knees, breathing lightly. Subtle, huh? Sounds boring, but all right, I'll bite. Let's see what these summoners are really planning. Far above, hidden in the swirling clouds, faint violet streaks shimmered in the sky, the remnants of the dimensional rift. Somewhere beyond, the summoners watched, silent, plotting. Sonic's speed and adaptability had thwarted their first attempt, but their scheme was far from over. And in the shadows, the first figure whispered again, voice like a knife slicing through the air. Let him run. Let him adapt. The faster he becomes, the more dangerous he is, and the more he will reveal. The plan has only begun. Sonic, unaware of the depth of the conspiracy unfolding around him, smirked and stretched. Bring it on. I'm ready for whatever you've got. The stage was set. The summoner's scheme had begun, and Sonic's next moves would determine whether speed could truly overcome cunning, magic, and manipulation combined. Sonic's boots struck the forest floor with a rhythmic beat, each step faster than the last, leaving faint streaks of blue in the air. He moved between the ancient trees of Jura Tempest, scanning the forest with sharp electric eyes. Even though the immediate threat of the summoner's attack had passed, a subtle tension lingered in the air. The residual energy of their magic, faint but detectable, pulsed in irregular waves, almost as if the forest itself were warning him. Okay, Sonic muttered, spinning in place to kick up a cloud of leaves. They're hiding. I can feel it. Someone's definitely watching. Milim hovered beside him, bouncing slightly in excitement. Ooh, I can feel it too. Whoever it is, they're sneaky. Sonic grinned. Exactly my kind of problem. Let's see who's brave enough to make the first move. Rimuru followed silently behind, eyes scanning the subtle shifts in the ambient magicules. The golden glow of Rimuru's gaze highlighted the residual traces of the summoner's energy. Observation. Energy signatures indicate lingering observation points. Likely, multiple hidden locations within forest and surrounding areas. Threat potential. High. Recommendation: monitor Sonic while tracking possible summoner movements. Sonic tilted his head. Okay, monitoring. Got it. But I like to move, so I'm gonna keep running. Helps me think. Rimuru allowed a small smile. Very well, but remain alert. Sonic shot off, faster than the eye could follow, weaving between massive trees, leaping over cliffs, and leaving streaks of kinetic energy in his wake. The forest seemed to pulse with his motion, almost alive in response. As Sonic ran, subtle glimmers appeared on the edges of the trees, faint magical distortions, residual wards left by the summoners. They were not powerful enough to harm him directly, but their placement indicated careful planning. Sonic slowed briefly, crouching behind a boulder. He squinted at the faint flickering signs. Bingo! They've been poking around, trying to see what I do. Not very subtle, but effective. From the shadows, a faint hum vibrated through the air. Sonic twitched his ears and spun in a blur. A small figure appeared, cloaked, hovering above a ridge. Its energy signature was unlike anything he had felt before. Calculated, controlled, and precise. Finally, Sonic muttered, "Looks like someone's showing their face." The figure extended a hand, and a surge of violet light shot toward Sonic, splitting into multiple beams. Sonic dashed sideways, leaving multiple afterimages behind to confuse the attack. The beams collided with trees and rocks, sending sparks into the air. He grinned. "Nice try. Gotta be faster than that." Rimuru's eyes narrowed, analyzing the encounter. Observation: Summoner operative demonstrating enhanced offensive magic. Interaction: Subject successfully evades and partially disrupts attack through kinetic manipulation. Potential escalation: Immediate. Sonic crouched, spinning rapidly to generate a mini-cyclone around himself. The violet beams bent and warped around the vortex, dissipating harmlessly. With a burst of acceleration, he rocketed toward the summoner, striking the air with a gust strong enough to knock them back. The operative tumbled backward, landing on a ridge, their cloak fluttering violently. "This is unacceptable," they hissed. "The anomaly adapts too quickly." Sonic landed lightly, quills bristling with excitement. "Adapt? That's me. You're gonna have to try a lot harder than that." The summoner rose slowly, summoning a series of floating sigils that glowed with intricate patterns. Each one seemed to hum with intent, prepared to ensnare, bind, or manipulate Sonic's movement. "Okay, big fancy magic now," Sonic muttered, spinning his fists. "I like big fancy magic. Let's see what it does." He zipped around the first sigil, leaving it twisting and unstable. The second followed, only to shatter as Sonic redirected its energy into the forest canopy. He moved in a continuous blur, anticipating the patterns and rhythms of the summoner's attacks. Milim floated behind him, clapping excitedly. "He's amazing! He's actually controlling their magic!" Sonic skidded to a halt on a ridge, breathing lightly, but smiling. "Feels good. Kind of like I'm dancing with the forest." Rimuru's golden eyes followed every movement, analyzing the residual distortions left by Sonic's interactions with the summoner's spells. Subject demonstrates not only reactive speed, but active manipulation of magical currents. Implication: he is becoming a force that cannot be ignored by summoners. Strategic consideration: immediate escalation by adversaries expected. The summoner operative clenched their fists, drawing new sigils in the air. Their voice was low, controlled. "If we cannot contain him, we must lead him into our trap. We will exploit his nature, speed, curiosity, overconfidence, and isolate him from allies." Sonic twitched his ears at the subtle shift in energy. Looks like they got a plan. Too bad I like breaking plans." He launched into another streak of motion, leaving multiple after-images in his wake. Each after-image disrupted the summoner's spells, bending and redirecting energy in ways the operative had not anticipated. The forest around them quivered, responding to Sonic's kinetic resonance. The operative staggered slightly, realizing the magnitude of the anomaly they faced. Sonic's body didn't just move fast. It rewrote the rules of engagement. Every spell, every binding attempt, every attack that relied on prediction or control became unpredictable in Sonic's presence. Sonic crouched, leaning slightly forward. "Okay, next phase. Let's see what else you've got hiding in those fancy cloaks." The summoner glanced at the hidden network of crystals in the forest, faint pulses of violet light signaling the potential to lure Sonic further. A plan was forming, a trap built not on brute force, but manipulation, temptation, and isolation. Sonic, unaware of the full scale of the scheme, smirked. "Bring it on. I've got speed, smarts, and a little bit of luck. Let's see who comes out on top." The forest seemed to hold its breath. The summoner's scheme was underway, and Sonic's next move would determine whether speed, instinct, and adaptability could counter the cunning manipulations of a hidden adversary. The forest of Jura Tempest had regained its outward calm, but beneath the canopy, tension coiled like a living serpent. Sonic's streak of blue energy sliced between the trees, scanning, listening, and feeling every subtle shift in the ambient magicules. Though the summoners had failed in their initial confrontation, their presence lingered like a shadow across the forest floor, calculated and patient. Sonic skidded to a halt on a moss-covered ridge, eyes narrowing. Definitely something off. Too quiet for a forest that big. They're hiding, and I can feel them. Milim hovered nearby, her tiny wings vibrating with excitement. Ooh, I can feel it too. Whoever it is, they're watching him, aren't they? Sonic smirked. Bingo. That's exactly what I was thinking. Rimuru, walking behind them, observed the faint pulses in the magical energy left by the summoner's failed spells. They are patient, Rimuru said quietly. The operative is not here to fight directly. They are studying, preparing, trying to lure Sonic into a situation where he may act on instinct rather than strategy. Sonic twirled, landing on a branch and kicking off into a sprint again. Lure me. Sounds like a game I can play. High above the forest, faint ripples shimmered in the sky, the residual energy from the dimensional rift that had brought Sonic to Tempest. A subtle vibration traveled through the air, nearly imperceptible, but Sonic's quills tingled as though tuned to the frequency of danger. They're using the rift, Sonic muttered, crouching low, trying to manipulate it to something. Not gonna happen on my watch. Suddenly, the air in front of him shimmered. A faint distortion in the trees. Sonic stopped mid-stride and crouched, feeling a sudden pull, a subtle gravitational tug from an unseen force. The summoners were beginning their trap, carefully crafted to exploit his speed and curiosity. Sonic grinned. Ah, I see what's going on. Time to play along. A little. He launched forward in a flash, faster than the eye could track, weaving in and out of the distorted space. The trees around him bent slightly, shimmering with the residual effects of the summoner's magic. Sonic's kinetic force tore through the residual energy, dispersing it and leaving after images that distorted reality slightly in their wake. From the shadows, faint silhouettes emerged, magical constructs, shaped like wolves, goblins, and humanoid figures. They moved with unnatural precision, attacking in patterns designed to predict Sonic's instinctive reactions. Sonic's grin widened. Okay, this is more like it. He zipped past the first wave, leaving after images to misdirect the constructs. Each strike of his speed disrupted their movements, sending arcs of residual magical energy scattering into the forest. The constructs attempted to close in again, but Sonic was already weaving through the trees, bending space and motion around him. Not bad, he muttered, crouching to accelerate again. But you're predictable. Rimuru's eyes narrowed. The summoners are not attacking directly. They are testing him. Each construct, each distortion, is meant to gauge his patterns and adaptability. Sonic is beginning to draw them into a controlled scenario. Sonic's grin turned mischievous. Controlled, huh? Let's see who controls who. He darted toward a particularly dense cluster of magical distortions, deliberately triggering multiple constructs at once. His afterimages left a trail that caused their attacks to collide, creating harmless explosions of displaced magic. The forest trembled as energy rippled outward, But Sonic landed lightly atop a moss-covered boulder, quills bristling, eyes sparkling. "Whoa, okay, that was fun," he said. "But I need more. You're holding back, aren't you?" Milim giggled. "He's amazing. Look at him go." Sonic twirled midair, creating a vortex that bent the surrounding magical energy around him. The after-images flickered violently, distorting the constructs further. He landed softly, scanning the forest floor. "Yep, definitely a trap," Sonic muttered. "They're waiting for me to make a wrong move. Guess I'll have to make my own move, the fast way." Far above, the summoner operative monitored the scene from a hidden ridge, cloaked in shadows. "Interesting," they muttered. "The anomaly is clever. Faster and more adaptable than anticipated, but he is still susceptible to manipulation. We need the next stage of the lure." The operative gestured toward a faintly glowing rift in the distance. Energy tendrils curled outward, pulsating rhythmically. "If we guide him there, we can isolate him from allies and amplify the effects of the Nexus." Sonic, catching a subtle vibration through the forest, smirked knowingly. "Ah, I see. They want me to chase that rift. Classic trap. They've been too obvious." He dashed off, weaving between the trees with blinding speed. The forest blurred into streaks of green and brown as Sonic approached the rift. His quills tingled with residual magic, the pull from the summoner's nexus growing stronger. He slowed briefly to glance around. "All right," Sonic muttered, crouching. "Time to turn their little trap into a playground." He leapt into motion again, leaving multiple afterimages to interact with the summoner's magical distortions, creating confusion and misalignment in their carefully constructed patterns. The forest seemed to pulse with energy in response to his speed, bending around him in unpredictable ways. Rimuru observed quietly. The summoner's plan is advancing. Sonic's speed and adaptability are countering them effectively, but he is moving toward a designed locus. The next stage of the trap will be critical. Sonic's grin widened. "Bring it on. I've been running through faster, trickier, and weirder stuff than this. You're going to have to try harder." The summoners watched silently from the shadows, their plan unfolding as intended. Sonic was fast, clever, and unpredictable. But they had prepared a final stage, something that could challenge even the fastest thing alive. The game of speed and manipulation had only just entered its second act. Sonic's streak of blue tore through the forest, after images flashing like lightning in the dense foliage. The subtle vibrations in the air grew stronger as he approached the distant rift, the residual energy pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. His instincts told him this was no longer just a lure. It was the heart of the summoner's trap. "All right," Sonic muttered, crouching low as he darted between trees. "Time to see what you've really got hidden in there." The forest itself seemed to respond to the energy emanating from the rift. Leaves quivered, branches bent, and faint glimmers of violet light flickered across mossy trunks. Sonic felt the pull more strongly now, an invisible force tugging at him, attempting to manipulate his path to funnel him toward the summoner's designed location. Rimuru followed closely, analyzing every subtle distortion. The summoner's trap is not merely physical. It is conceptual. They are attempting to influence Sonic's perception and decisions using residual energy from the rift. It is designed to isolate him from allies. Sonic slowed just enough to glance back at Rimuru and Milim. "Isolation, huh? Not gonna happen. I'm not that easy to trap." He leapt high into the air, spinning mid-flight. The afterimages created a chaotic flurry that interacted with the residual magic, destabilizing the carefully designed energy pathways of the summoner's trap. The forest shook slightly as arcs of energy collided and scattered harmlessly across the canopy. From the shadows, the summoner operative observed, their hands tracing complex sigils in the air. He anticipates every overt attack, but the subtle manipulations are beginning to take effect. Continue the sequence. He will follow the rift. As Sonic neared the source of the rift, the ground beneath him began to warp, twisting with residual magical currents. A faint grid of violet lines shimmered, indicating the presence of hidden wards. Sonic skidded to a halt, crouching low. Hidden wires, huh? Sneaky, he muttered, analyzing the layout with his lightning-fast reflexes. But I can work with sneaky. He dashed forward in a zigzag, using his kinetic force to disperse the magical distortions. Every strike of his speed bent the wards, destabilized the sigils, and left streaks of kinetic energy that disrupted the summoner's monitoring. The rift pulsed violently, releasing arcs of energy that reached outward like tendrils. Sonic's eyes narrowed. All right. This is it. Let's see if I can turn your trap into my playground. With a burst of acceleration, he zipped into the center of the rift's pull, spinning rapidly to create a vortex that drew the magical tendrils toward his afterimages. The energy collided with itself, exploding into harmless arcs that danced across the clearing. Sonic landed lightly on a jagged rock, quills bristling, a grin spreading across his face. Not bad. Not bad at all, he muttered. You almost had me, but not quite. From the edge of the clearing, the summoner operative watched intently. Fascinating. He is converting kinetic energy into a form of magical dispersion, interacting with the rift itself. His adaptability is extraordinary. We may need to escalate. Suddenly, multiple portals opened around the rift, releasing ethereal constructs, shadows, and minor summoned beasts. The summoner's final contingency had begun. An army designed not to fight outright, but to test Sonic's speed. Decision-making and adaptability to an extreme degree. Sonic's grin widened. Finally, some real action. He zipped forward, faster than any eye could follow, weaving between the incoming constructs. Afterimages left chaotic trails that bent and redirected the energy attacks. Each construct struck an invisible wall of air, dispersing harmlessly into the forest. Sonic's movements became a blur of light and motion, kinetic energy interacting with residual magical currents in unpredictable ways. Milim hovered nearby, cheering, "He's amazing! Look at him go!" Sonic twisted midair, creating a vortex that sucked in residual rift energy, redirecting it harmlessly outward. The forest trembled under the force, and faint glimmers of magical energy danced around him like sparks. Rimuru's golden eyes studied the scene carefully. The summoner's trap was designed to isolate and weaken him, but he is not merely surviving. It is adapting to it, bending the structure of their plan around him. Their contingency is compromised. Sonic landed softly, quills bristling, as the final wave of constructs advanced. All right. Round 2. Final act. Let's finish this game. He dashed forward with blinding speed, leaving multiple afterimages that created confusion among the constructs. Each one collided with others, exploded harmlessly, or was deflected back at the summoner's control points. The summoner operative hissed beneath their mask. Impossible! How can he manipulate every attack before it lands? Sonic stopped in the center of the clearing, breathless but grinning. surrounded by faint arcs of dissipating energy. "Game over," he said confidently. "You tried to trap me, manipulate me, and I turned it all into my playground." Rimuru stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "The summoner's plan has been neutralized. Sonic, your speed and adaptability did more than evade. They disrupted their scheme entirely." Sonic looked up at Rimuru, quills gleaming in the fading light. Feels good. Not just running fast, but running smart. That's my kind of victory." Far above, hidden in the swirling clouds, faint violet streaks shimmered, traces of the summoner's plan that had failed. Their scheme had been intricate, patient, and dangerous, but Sonic had turned speed and instinct into a counterforce they could not predict. The forest exhaled, shimmering faintly as if in relief. Sonic's laughter echoed through the trees. "Bring it on, Tempest. That was fun, but I'm ready for whatever comes next." And in the shadows, the summoner operative whispered to themselves, "He is fast, clever, and unpredictable. But this is far from over. The real scheme begins now." Sonic didn't know it yet, but the summoner's scheme was only the first layer of a far more dangerous challenge. The stage was set for the next confrontation. The forest of Jura Tempest had settled into an uneasy calm after the events surrounding the summoner's failed trap. Yet, even in the quiet, energy hummed faintly through the trees, traces of residual magic, residual speed, and the subtle currents left by the blue blur that had so thoroughly disrupted the summoner's plans. Sonic perched on a high branch, quills glinting in the sunlight, scanning the horizon with sharp electric eyes. "So, Tempest," Sonic muttered, stretching his legs. "You're a lot more interesting than I expected. Magic, monsters, traps, and apparently a few really sneaky people trying to outsmart me. Not bad." Milim hovered beside him, wings fluttering, her expression one of pure excitement. "He's so fast and clever. I can't believe he handled all of those traps by himself." Rimuru, standing below on a moss-covered stone, crossed their arms, golden eyes scanning Sonic with a mixture of analytical curiosity and cautious concern. "Speed alone is remarkable," Rimuru said. "But relying only on instinct will eventually become a liability. The summoners are patient. Their plans are layered, and Sonic's current approach, while effective, may not suffice for what lies ahead." Sonic tilted his head. "Layers, huh? Sounds complicated, but layers can be sliced through with speed and a little smarts." Rimuru's gaze softened slightly. "Speed is your strength, Sonic, but there is another kind of strength here. Bonds, allies, trust, shared experiences. That is something even you may find surprisingly powerful." Sonic grinned, brushing dust from his gloves. "Bonds, huh? I've got plenty of friends in my world. But bonds beyond worlds? That's new." Milim giggled. "Oh, I like that. He's going to make friends everywhere." A faint ripple in the forest caught Rimuru's attention. They lifted a hand, golden eyes scanning the shifting energy. "You feel that, Sonic? Someone, or something, is approaching. Not a summoner, but a potential ally. Perhaps an entity aware of the instability left by the summoner's trap." Sonic crouched low, muscles tensing. "All right, let's meet them." From the shadows emerged a group unlike any Sonic had seen before. A small, lithe creature with silver fur and amber eyes stepped forward, followed by a tall, armored figure carrying a massive sword. Behind them, a humanoid figure with flowing robes and glowing symbols on their skin appeared, hands raised in a gesture of cautious greeting. "Greetings," the silver-furred creature said, voice soft but confident. "I am Linara, scout of the Horizon Sentinels. We have been monitoring disturbances in the magical flows here, and your arrival has caused significant anomalies." Sonic tilted his head, quills twitching with curiosity. "Horizon Sentinels, huh? Cool name. And anomalies. Yep, that's me, Sonic, fastest thing alive. You are..." The armored figure stepped forward, placing a hand on the hilt of their sword. "I am Kalen. I serve the Sentinels as protector and tactician. Our scouts detected the summoner's interference and tracked its ripple effects. Your speed, your interactions with the magical currents, they have created both a threat and an opportunity." Sonic grinned. "Threat and opportunity, huh? Sounds like my kind of situation." The robed figure spoke next, voice calm and melodic. "I am Celine, a mage of the Horizon Sentinels. Your presence resonates with the ambient magicules of this world in a unique way. We believe that by working together, we can stabilize the residual effects of the summoner's schemes and uncover the deeper layers of their plan." Rimuru's golden eyes observed the newcomers carefully. "They are aligned with the natural balance of Tempest," Rimuru noted. "Their knowledge and abilities could be invaluable, Sonic. Forming bonds with them may provide both tactical and strategic advantages." Sonic smirked. "Forming bonds, huh? Well, I'm good at that. You've got skills, I've got speed. Sounds like a deal to me." Linara's ears twitched slightly. "Good, but you should understand, our trust is earned, not given. The summoner's schemes have tested us all, and cooperation requires mutual understanding." Sonic tilted his head, quills bristling with excitement. "Understandable, but fair warning, I don't like sitting still. I learn fast, I act fast, and I think fast. So if you're keeping up, we'll get along just fine." Kalen's hand rested lightly on the hilt of his sword. "We will match your pace, Sonic, but you must be prepared. Our enemies do not fight fairly, and the layers of their scheme are deep. Speed alone may not be sufficient." Sonic's grin widened. "Oh, I'm counting on that. I don't just run fast, I think fast. And with you guys watching my back, maybe I can really shake things up." Celine stepped forward, hands glowing faintly as she manipulated residual magicules in the air. "We must act carefully. The summoner's nexus remains partially active, and their manipulations continue even in your absence. Forming a bond with us will allow you to navigate these dangers more effectively. Together, speed and strategy, kinetic energy and magic. It is a combination they cannot anticipate." Sonic crouched, ready to bolt at a moment's notice, eyes sparkling. "Combination, huh? Heh. Now that sounds fun. Let's do it." Rimuru smiled faintly. "You see, Sonic, bonds beyond world are more than companionship. They are strength, strategy, and understanding. The summoners underestimated not just your speed, but the potential of alliances you can forge in Tempest." Milim flapped her wings excitedly. "Yay! New friends! Let's show the summoners what happens when you underestimate us." Sonic smirked. "All right, team. Time to take the speed up a notch and see what we can really do together." The forest seemed to hum in approval. Faint, magical currents shimmering in response to the unity forming. Sonic and the Horizon Sentinels, Linara, Kalen, and Celine stood together, each sensing the potential of their combined abilities. The summoner's schemes had introduced chaos, but bonds, even across worlds, could transform that chaos into opportunity. As Sonic crouched, ready to dash, he glanced back at Rimuru. Ready to see just how fast teamwork can be? Rimuru nodded, golden eyes steady. Ready. Sonic grinned, quills catching the sunlight. Then let's go. Speed meets magic. And now, we've got allies. This is going to be awesome. Above the canopy, faint pulses from the residual rift shimmered once more, hinting at the lingering danger still waiting beyond the horizon. But Sonic's laughter echoed through the forest, a streak of blue energy and unbreakable spirit, signaling that bonds beyond worlds could create power even summoners could not foresee. The canopy of Jura Tempest glimmered in the late afternoon sunlight, shadows stretching and bending across the forest floor. Sonic's streak of blue darted between the trees as he led the small team of Horizon Sentinels through a tangle of roots and vines, quills catching glimmers of residual magical energy. For once, speed alone wasn't the only advantage. He had allies now, and that changed everything. "All right," Sonic muttered, skidding to a halt atop a mossy boulder. "We've got movement ahead. I can feel it. Something's tracking us." Linara's amber eyes scanned the perimeter, her lithe body tense but poised. "You are correct. There are lingering magical signatures here, not as potent as the summoner's main nexus, but strong enough to alert us to their presence." Kalen's hand rested lightly on his sword. "It appears their constructs have been dispersed, but the summoners have left sensors or wards to monitor intrusions. They are cautious. They have learned from their previous encounter." Sonic crouched low, a grin spreading across his face. "Learned. That's fine. I like opponents that learn. Makes it more fun." Celine floated lightly above the ground, glowing symbols rippling faintly across her robes. "Sonic, your speed interacts with the ambient magical flows in unexpected ways. If we coordinate, we can neutralize these residual traps before they become a danger." Sonic's eyes sparkled. "Coordination, huh? That's new for me. But I'm good at thinking fast. Let's try it." Rimuru, observing from a safe distance, nodded slightly. "This will be a test, not of speed alone, but of adaptability and teamwork. The summoners are patient and strategic. Any misstep could play into their hands." Sonic crouched low, then shot forward in a streak of blue. Linara followed, moving silently and fluidly between the trees, her movements almost ghost-like. Kalen maintained a steady pace, using his strength to clear obstacles and protect the group from residual magical distortions, while Celine's flowing robes left faint trails of energy that subtly stabilized the currents left by the summoner's previous manipulations. Sonic zipped forward and suddenly halted, leaving multiple afterimages that began interacting with the ambient energy. Sparks of displaced magic flew harmlessly into the air as the afterimages bent and redirected the flow. "See that?" Sonic called back. "We're not just moving fast, we're controlling where the magic goes." Celine's eyes glowed faintly as she extended her hands. "Exactly. By channeling residual magic into stable conduits, we reduce unpredictable fluctuations. Your kinetic energy, Sonic, is reshaping the flow." Kalen grunted approvingly. "Impressive. You are not just fast, you are a force multiplier." Linara darted forward, her silver fur reflecting flecks of sunlight. "There, a ward set to trigger a defensive trap. Sonic, follow me." Sonic leapt and spun mid-air, after images scattering and interacting with the ward's energy. The trap misfired, harmlessly exploding in a burst of harmless sparks that illuminated the forest. "Ha! That's what I call teamwork." Milim, fluttering behind, cheered. "He's amazing, and his friends are amazing too." Sonic grinned. "Yep, speed plus brains plus teamwork equals unstoppable, or at least really, really hard to stop." Celine's hands glowed as she traced symbols in the air, stabilizing the magical currents further. Keep moving. The summoner's nexus is still partially active. Their monitoring devices may attempt to redirect or delay us, but we can anticipate it if we act in unison. Sonic nodded, crouching low before launching himself forward. Got it. Let's make them work for it. The forest shifted around them as Sonic, Lynara, Kalen, and Selene advanced in perfect synchrony. Every movement, leap, and strike of speed disrupted the faint traces of summoner magic. Sonic's kinetic energy bent the flow. Selene stabilized it. Kalen cleared physical obstacles, and Lynara guided the group through invisible currents of energy. Faster! Sonic called out, dashing forward with explosive speed. We're not just avoiding traps, we're rewriting the rules of the game. Kalen blocked a residual energy spike with his sword, the metallic clang echoing through the trees. Keep moving, the Nexus may attempt to isolate us. Lynara leapt over a fallen branch, her form blurring. Sonic, left flank, energy flow destabilizing. Sonic pivoted in mid-air, redirecting his kinetic force to bend the energy harmlessly toward the trees. Sparks erupted, leaving faint scorch marks that dissipated instantly. Ha! That's one down, hundreds to go! Selene's glowing symbols traced along the currents, weaving protective patterns that prevented the group from being caught by stray magical backlash. The more we cooperate, the more control we gain. Our movements synchronize with the ambient energy, reducing the summoner's influence. Rimuru's eyes glowed gold. Excellent. This is a demonstration of the principle I mentioned earlier. Bonds beyond worlds. Sonic's speed alone is formidable, but when combined with allies attuned to the same environment, his effectiveness multiplies exponentially. Sonic slowed for a brief moment atop a ridge, looking back at the team. Feels good, doesn't it? Running together, watching each other's backs. I get it now. This is faster, smarter, and way more fun than running alone. Lynara's amber eyes flickered with satisfaction. Indeed. Trust and coordination amplify power in ways raw ability cannot. We are learning from you as much as you are learning from us, Sonic. Sonic grinned. Learning, huh? Sounds fair, but don't get too cocky. I've still got the fastest legs in the forest. Kalen chuckled, brushing his hair back. We would not doubt it, Sonic. But even speed must be guided. Together, we are unstoppable. Milim clapped her tiny hands. Yay! Go, Team Sonic and Sentinels! The group continued through the forest, kinetic energy, magic, and strength flowing in harmony. Each step, leap, and dash brought them closer to uncovering the remaining summoner devices, the residual rift energy, and the deeper layers of the summoner's scheme. Above the canopy, faint pulses from the rift shimmered, hinting at danger yet to come. Sonic's laughter echoed through the forest, joined now by the voices of allies, a clear declaration that bonds beyond worlds could transform chaos into power and friendship into strategy. The journey of speed, magic, and trust had only just begun. The forest of Jura Tempest stretched endlessly before them, its canopy a living mosaic of green and gold, shimmering faintly with traces of residual magic. Sonic led the group of Horizon Sentinels, his blue streak weaving between trees, bouncing off rocks, and leaving faint afterimages that danced in the filtered sunlight. The rhythm of their movement was more than speed. It was coordination, an unspoken dialogue between motion, perception, and trust. All right, team, Sonic called, crouching mid-leap to twist around a giant oak. We're getting close to the Nexus. I can feel the energy, like it's pulling us, trying to herd us into a corner. Lynara's amber eyes scanned the surroundings, her fur bristling slightly with alertness. He is correct. The summoner's residual energy creates an artificial flow, attempting to guide us toward their concealed devices. It is subtle, but we can detect it. Sonic speed allows us to respond before it becomes a threat. Kalen, sword in hand, nodded. Our synchronization is improving. Sonic's movements are no longer solo bursts. They are part of a collective rhythm that interacts with both the forest and the residual magical currents. Continue maintaining formation. Selene's hands trace delicate patterns in the air, stabilizing the energy flows around them. The summoners designed the traps to escalate as we approach the core. If we act as one, we can neutralize them before they even manifest fully. Coordination is key. Sonic grinned, quills twitching with excitement. Coordination, teamwork. I get it. It's like running a race with friends, but the course keeps trying to fight back. Awesome. A faint shimmer flickered along the path ahead. Sonic slowed, crouching as his afterimages formed a barrier to probe the distortion. The shimmer solidified into faint constructs, humanoid forms hovering slightly above the ground, each infused with violet energy. "They're ready for us," Lenara whispered. Constructs designed to test reaction speed and tactical decision-making simultaneously. Their purpose is not just to harm, but to evaluate patterns. Sonic's grin widened. "Patterns, huh? Good thing I love reading patterns. Watch this." He zipped forward, leaving a cascade of afterimages that intersected with the construct's paths. The energy they emitted twisted and rebounded harmlessly, dissipating into the surrounding forest. Lenara moved alongside him, predicting residual energy fluctuations and guiding Sonic to optimal trajectories. Kalen cleared debris and deflected minor energy spikes, while Selene reinforced ambient currents, preventing any backlash from the residual summoner energy. "Excellent," Selene said, eyes glowing faintly. "By combining kinetic manipulation and magic stabilization, we are effectively nullifying their traps. Keep the flow consistent." Sonic shot forward again, weaving through the constructs with a blur of blue. "Consistent, huh? Got it. But let's make it fun too." He left multiple afterimages in strategic positions, causing the constructs to collide with one another. The forest shuddered slightly as energy arcs exploded harmlessly, illuminating the canopy with a kaleidoscope of violet and blue. Milim cheered from above, flapping her wings excitedly. "Yay, they're working together! Go Sonic and friends!" Sonic glanced back, quills catching the sunlight. "See? Bonds beyond worlds. This isn't just speed, it's smart speed." Kalen adjusted his stance, observing the construct's movements. Notice the summoner's adaptation. They are reacting to Sonic's patterns, attempting to anticipate his movements. This is their next stage, predictive countermeasures. We must act unpredictably, not just quickly. Sonic's grin turned mischievous. "Predictive, huh? Then let's rewrite their predictions." He crouched low, launching himself in a sudden zigzag, creating afterimages that moved contrary to his actual path. The constructs miscalculated, striking empty air, while the group advanced safely. Lenara guided them through the safest path, her intuition with the forest's currents, allowing them to avoid hidden wards. Selene raised her hands, drawing faint symbols that shimmered in the air. Our synergy is stabilizing residual energy. Each coordinated move reduces the risk of triggering latent summoner traps. Sonic speed, combined with our guidance and magic, creates a feedback loop that amplifies efficiency. Sonic skidded to a halt atop a ridge, quills bristling, looking down at the shimmering nexus below. "Whoa, that's big. Looks like they really want me to see it. Well, I like big challenges." Lenara crouched beside him. The nexus amplifies residual energy across this region. It is the summoner's central point of influence. If they are not disrupted, the traps will escalate exponentially as we approach. Kalen rested a hand on his sword. "We must coordinate our approach carefully. Sonic, your speed can neutralize immediate threats. but the Nexus itself will require strategic positioning, timing, and combined effort. Sonic's grin widened. Strategic positioning, timing, combined effort. Got it. That's teamwork. Lean's glowing symbols shimmered brighter. Prepare yourselves. The next phase will require full synchronization. Any hesitation or misstep could amplify the Nexus's effects, but together we can overcome it. Rimuru observed from a distant ridge, golden eyes, steady. This is the first true test of bonds beyond worlds. Sonic speed alone cannot dismantle the Nexus, but united with the Sentinels, they can convert chaos into control. Sonic crouched, taking a deep breath, and glanced at his allies. All right, let's show this Nexus what teamwork looks like. Ready? Lenara nodded, amber eyes shining. Ready. Kalen's grip tightened on his sword. Ready. Selene raised her hands, glowing with stabilized magical energy. Ready. Sonic smirked, quills catching the sunlight. Then let's go. Bonds beyond worlds. Activate. The forest seemed to hum in response, faint currents of kinetic and magical energy intertwining, signaling the beginning of a coordinated assault on the summoner's Nexus, a demonstration of speed, trust, and friendship transcending worlds. The Nexus shimmered before them, a swirling vortex of violet energy interlaced with faint, ghostly sigils. It pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of the forest itself, each beat amplifying the residual summoner magic and threatening to destabilize the ground beneath their feet. Sonic crouched low, quills bristling, a grin spreading across his face. All right, this is the big one. Let's show this thing what happens when speed meets teamwork. Lenara darted forward first, her silver fur glowing faintly as she moved. Sonic, I'll guide you through the energy currents. Follow my lead. One misstep, and the residual energy could trap you in temporal loops. Sonic's grin widened. Temporal loops. Poof, speed's my specialty. Let's do it. Kalen planted himself firmly, sword in hand, shielding the team from minor energy surges that erupted unpredictably around the Nexus. Stay close, Sonic. The residual magic interacts with kinetic force in ways that could throw even you off balance. Coordination is essential. Selene's glowing hands traced intricate symbols in the air, her magic stabilizing the vortex just enough to allow safe passage. Sonic, your movement generates kinetic resonance that can counteract portions of the Nexus's energy, but we must synchronize. Only together can we neutralize it. Sonic nodded, crouching low and bouncing lightly on his feet. Got it. Speed plus brains plus magic. Here we go. He darted forward in a blur of blue, weaving between tendrils of violet energy that shot out from the Nexus like living whips. His afterimages danced through the air, interacting with the residual magic and bending harmlessly around the team. Lenara moved beside him, guiding him with subtle motions and shifts in position. Each step created a flow of energy that countered the Nexus's attempts to control the battlefield. Right, that's perfect. Keep your trajectory tight, Sonic. Sonic's quills shimmered as he twisted midair, redirecting energy spikes harmlessly toward the trees. Ha! Take that, Nexus! Kalen advanced simultaneously, deflecting energy surges that threatened to destabilize their path. Sparks flew as his sword struck invisible currents, creating safe zones for Sonic and the others to maneuver. Keep moving. Don't give it a chance to lock onto a single target. Selene extended her hands above the group, glowing symbols intertwining with Sonic's kinetic afterimages. We're forming a feedback loop. Your speed amplifies the stabilization magic, and our magic reinforces your motion. Together, we can override the residual energy's influence. Sonic's grin widened as he zipped forward in a rapid spiral, leaving multiple afterimages in strategic positions. The Nexus's pulses collided with the afterimages, scattering harmlessly, while the team advanced closer to its core. "See, I told you speed and teamwork are unstoppable." Reincarnated nodded, eyes scanning for residual traps. The summoners designed contingencies in case of direct interference. "Sonic, Kalen, we must dismantle these simultaneously. Timing is critical." Sonic twirled midair, kicking off a construct of energy and dispersing it harmlessly. "Got it! Timing! Coordination! I'm on it!" Kalen raised his sword in unison with Celine's glowing hands. Together, they struck at the Nexus's outer wards, creating openings for Sonic to accelerate through. The kinetic force of his speed collided with the magical currents, destabilizing them in a controlled manner. Milim cheered from above. "Go, Sonic! Go, Sentinels! You're amazing!" The Nexus pulsed violently, surging outward in an attempt to reclaim control. Sonic responded instantly, spinning and leaving a flurry of afterimages that absorbed the pulse, bending it harmlessly into the air. Line up. I did on the most dangerous zones, while Kalen and Celine reinforced protective barriers and synchronized strikes. Sonic skidded to a halt atop a jagged rock, quills glinting with residual energy. "Ha! Okay, this is getting tricky, but teamwork makes tricky. Fun!" Reincarnated's amber eyes flickered. "Prepare for escalation. The Summoner's Nexus adapts to the energy patterns it senses. We must continuously alter our approach or risk triggering an amplification sequence." Sonic grinned. "Alter approach? Got it. Watch this." He launched into a rapid zigzag, after images scattering unpredictably. The Nexus struggled to stabilize, pulses becoming erratic. Kalen struck at residual wards with precise timing. Celine reinforced the flow, and Reincarnated guided Sonic through the shifting currents. The combination of speed, magic, and strategy created a harmonic resonance that destabilized the Nexus completely. Suddenly, the core of the vortex shimmered, cracking open like glass under pressure. Violet energy spiraled outward, but instead of harming the team, it dissipated harmlessly as Sonic's kinetic energy and Celine's magic absorbed the excess. Sonic landed lightly, quills bristling, a triumphant grin on his face. "And that's how you turn a trap into a playground." Reincarnated stepped forward, tail flicking, her voice calm but impressed. "Incredible. Your coordination with the team neutralized the Nexus without triggering its escalation. Speed and teamwork, a rare combination indeed." Kalen lowered his sword, nodding. "The residual energy has been stabilized. Sonic, your ability to interact with the currents amplified our efforts significantly. We could not have done this alone." Celine's glowing hands faded slowly, leaving faint trails of stabilizing energy. The Nexus is neutralized thanks to the synergy of motion, magic, and trust. Bonds beyond worlds have proven more powerful than the Summoner's isolated schemes. Sonic crouched, brushing dust from his gloves. Bonds beyond worlds. Huh. I get it now. It's not just about running fast. It's about running together. That's the real power. Rimuru, observing from a nearby ridge, nodded. Indeed. This is the first stage of a larger confrontation. The Summoners underestimated the potential of alliances across worlds. Sonic speed, combined with the Sentinel's abilities, turned what could have been disaster into victory. Milim flapped her wings excitedly. "Yay! Teamwork wins again!" Sonic laughed, quills catching the sunlight. "Yep, and this is only the beginning. Tempest, Summoners, whatever you've got planned next, we're ready. Faster, smarter, and together." The forest pulsed, as if acknowledging the victory. Bonds had been formed across worlds, trust had been tested, and the summoner's nexus had been neutralized. But the faint traces of residual energy hinted at challenges yet to come, a reminder that true power lay not just in speed, magic, or strength alone, but in the bonds that transcended worlds. Sonic's laughter echoed through Jura Tempest, joined by the voices of his new allies, a testament to friendship, trust, and teamwork that even the summoners could not anticipate. The next stage of their journey awaited, and with bonds beyond worlds, Sonic was ready to face it. The forest of Jura Tempest was alive with an unusual energy, the air vibrating faintly with the echoes of Sonic's speed and the residual magic left by the summoner's manipulations. The previous confrontations had tested Sonic's instincts, his adaptability, and the strength of the bonds he had forged with the Horizon Sentinels. But now, a more ominous presence loomed, a pulse unlike anything the forest had emitted before, rhythmic yet jagged, hinting at a force that could match or even surpass Sonic's legendary velocity. Sonic crouched low on a ridge, quills bristling as he scanned the horizon. "All right, I can feel it," he muttered, voice tight with focus. "Something big is coming, and it's fast. Not just fast, dangerously fast." Lenara, moving silently beside him, flicked her silver tail. "You are correct. The summoners have initiated the final stage of their plan. Their nexus was merely the first layer. What approaches now is the culmination, their ultimate test." Kalen rested a hand on the hilt of his sword, eyes narrowing. The residual energy is more concentrated, unstable. This is not a mere trap. It is a battlefield designed to challenge all facets of speed, magic, and strategy simultaneously. Sonic, we will need to coordinate perfectly to survive. Sonic grinned, the familiar spark of excitement lighting his eyes. Coordination. Perfect. Bring it on. I've never backed down from a challenge, and I'm not about to start now. Celine floated lightly, her robe shimmering with ambient magic. The summoner's final contingency is adaptive. Every move we make will be analyzed and countered in real time. We must anticipate their manipulations while exploiting their overconfidence. Sonic, your speed will be our spearhead, but synergy is essential. Milim hovered above, wings fluttering rapidly, a grin on her face. "Ooh, this is going to be so exciting. Go Sonic, go team." From deep within the forest, a rumble echoed, the ground shivering with each pulse of energy. A swirl of violet and black tendrils erupted from the horizon, forming the unmistakable shape of a summoner's avatar, a towering figure shrouded in magical distortion, eyes glowing like twin stars. Sonic's quills twitched as he crouched low, ready to launch. Okay, big, scary, and glowing. That's my kind of opponent. Let's see what you've got." The summoner's voice boomed, echoing unnaturally through the trees. "Sonic, speed alone cannot divide destiny. You and your allies have disrupted my schemes, but now you will face the true power of the nexus I control." Sonic smirked, spinning lightly on his feet. "Destiny, huh? Huh. I make my own destiny, and it's way faster than yours." Lynara's eyes flickered. "This avatar channels the summoner's full control over the nexus. It is both adaptive and predictive, capable of countering high-velocity attacks and magical interference. We must remain unpredictable." Kalen's grip tightened on his sword. "Every strike we make must be calculated. Sonic, you will draw their attention while we coordinate simultaneous strikes to destabilize the avatar's control." Celine's hands glowed brightly as she traced protective runes in the air. Our magic will reinforce Sonic's kinetic resonance and counteract the Avatar's attempts to manipulate space and time. Timing is critical. Sonic crouched, blue quills shimmering. Timing, got it. I've got speed. You've got magic. Kalen's got muscle. Lenara's got instincts. Together, we can do this. Let's move. He launched forward in a streak of blue, leaving multiple afterimages that blurred through the forest. The Avatar's glowing eyes tracked him, its tendrils of violet energy lashing out with calculated precision. Sonic twisted mid-air, bending the attacks harmlessly around him, while Lenara guided him through subtle openings in the magical field. Kalen struck with his sword, deflecting energy pulses that could have disrupted Sonic's momentum. Selene's runes stabilized the surrounding currents, preventing residual backlash. The combined force of speed, magic, and physical strength created a chaotic symphony, challenging the summoner Avatar's predictive algorithms. Sonic zipped in a tight spiral, sending afterimages outward in multiple directions, each interacting with the Avatar's energy. Take that, and that. Oh, don't forget this one. Milim giggled above, waving her tiny hands. He's amazing. And his friends are amazing too. The summoner Avatar recoiled slightly, its tendrils flickering as the feedback from Sonic's speed and the Sentinel's combined force began to destabilize its outer shell. Impressive, the summoner's voice hissed. But speed alone is not enough. Predictive layers are still active. You will fall into my design. Sonic landed lightly, quills bristling, and glanced at his team. Predictive layers, huh? Looks like they're getting serious. Time to up the game! Lenara darted forward, her instincts guiding Sonic toward a weak point in the Avatar's energy field. Sonic, flank left, now! The outer layer is destabilized. Sonic twisted mid-air, leaving afterimages that collided with the Avatar's tendrils. The impact caused a ripple through the residual energy, creating a momentary opening. Kalen and Selene surged forward in perfect synchrony, Kalen striking with precise force, Selene reinforcing the energy with magic. The Avatar staggered, its glowing eyes narrowing. You combine speed and magic, but the Nexus adapts. You cannot escape your limits. Sonic skidded to a halt, smirking. Limits? Poofed. Speed has no limits when you're running with friends. Let's see how you handle teamwork. The forest around them pulsed with energy, the Sentinels and Sonic moving as one. Each strike, dodge, and spell interwove, creating unpredictable chaos that the summoner's Avatar could not fully calculate. Their coordination amplified Sonic's speed, turning it from a simple force into a multidimensional weapon. The echoes of acceleration surged through the trees, the forest itself resonating with the combined force of kinetic motion and magic. Sonic's laughter rang out, a streak of blue energy cutting through the violet tendrils, signaling that bonds beyond worlds had reached their ultimate test. The summoner Avatar lashed out with renewed intensity, violet tendrils snapping like living whips, twisting and warping the forest around Sonic and the Sentinels. The ground trembled, rocks splitting under the force of the magical energy, while residual rift currents flared unpredictably. Sonic crouched low, spinning into a ball, leaving afterimages in multiple directions. All right, this just got interesting. Time to push things up a notch. Lenara moved alongside him, her silver fur bristling, tail flicking as she guided Sonic through subtle gaps in the Avatar's energy attacks. Sonic, the predictive matrix is adapting. You must vary your patterns continuously, or the Avatar will trap you in a kinetic loop. Sonic grinned, quills gleaming. Kinetic loop, huh? Not on my watch. He zigzagged through the tendrils, leaving afterimages that collided with incoming energy, bending it harmlessly into the trees. Kalen's sword struck at residual magical spikes, sending arcs of energy scattering. Keep moving, Sonic. Every second counts. The avatar strengthens with each pulse. It's adapting to your speed. Selene's glowing hands traced rapid runes, weaving protective barriers that stabilize the shifting currents. We must maintain full synchronization. Sonic, your kinetic force amplifies our magic, creating a resonance that counters the avatar's adaptation. Timing is everything. Sonic leapt into a high spiral, spinning mid-air. Timing! Resonance! Got it! His afterimages split, interacting with the avatar's energy in multiple points, destabilizing the adaptive layers. Take that! The avatar recoiled, its glowing eyes narrowing. Impressive, but insufficient. You cannot maintain unpredictability indefinitely. Milim flitted above, cheering wildly. Go, Sonic, faster! Use your friends, you've got this! Sonic smirked. I am fast, and I do have friends. Let's finish this. He darted forward in a chaotic pattern, leaving a barrage of afterimages. Lynara guided him through the weakest points of the avatar's defenses. Kalen struck with precision, and Selene reinforced the currents. The coordinated effort caused the avatar's energy tendrils to recoil unpredictably, sparking and shattering harmlessly across the forest floor. Sonic landed lightly atop a fallen tree, quills bristling, and glanced back at his allies. Ha! This is teamwork at its best. We're not just fast, we're unstoppable together. Lynara nodded, amber eyes sharp. Correct. Individual speed is powerful, but coordination magnifies it exponentially. Sonic, your energy interacts with our abilities to produce a resonance the avatar cannot fully calculate. Kalen's sword glowed faintly as he struck again, cutting through residual wards. Every coordinated strike weakens its defenses further. Sonic, continue to exploit the openings. Selene's hands glowed brighter, weaving rapid sigils in the air. The more we synchronize, the more predictable the avatar's reactions become. Ironically, our unpredictability creates its vulnerability. Keep the flow continuous. Sonic's grin widened. Unpredictability creating vulnerability. I like that. Let's see how you like speed multiplied. He dashed in a series of spirals and zigzags, afterimages colliding with the avatar's tendrils and scattering energy harmlessly. Lynara's guidance, Kalen's precise strikes, and Selene's stabilizing magic allowed Sonic to move faster than ever, each movement amplifying the team's effectiveness. The avatar roared, a pulse of energy surging outward to destabilize the forest and knock the team off balance. Sonic twisted mid-air, leaving multiple afterimages that absorbed the pulse and redirected it harmlessly. Not today, buddy. Lynara darted beside him, tail flicking. The final stage is active. The summoners anticipated a coordinated assault. Expect residual amplification and deceptive spatial shifts. Sonic's quills bristled. Amplification and deception. Pfft. I live for this kind of chaos. Kalen swung his sword in sync with Selene's magic, striking simultaneous points of the avatar's field. Each collision sent ripples through the adaptive layers, weakening the nexus and forcing the avatar to react unpredictably. Sonic accelerated, leaving streaks of blue that blurred through the forest, afterimages fanning out like a storm. Time to turn this game around. Full throttle team. Milim giggled above. Yes, show them what teamwork looks like. The forest itself seemed to respond. Faint currents of energy intertwining with Sonic's speed, and Selene's magic, creating a harmonic resonance. The summoner avatar's adaptive calculations faltered as its tendrils struggled to predict the chaotic pattern of attacks. Sonic landed atop a ridge, quills glinting in the light. Looks like you're not ready for this kind of speed. Lynara's amber eyes glowed faintly. Sonic now. Focus all kinetic energy through the feedback loop. Amplify our magic through resonance. This is the decisive strike. Sonic crouched, charging forward with explosive speed, leaving a spiraling storm of afterimages intersected with Kalen's strikes and Selene's stabilized currents. The summoner avatar's energy flared violently, tendrils snapping erratically, unable to maintain cohesion. The pulse of combined speed and magic surged through the nexus, shattering the adaptive layers and forcing the avatar backward. Sonic skidded to a halt, quills bristling, grinning. And that's how you finish a game with style. Selene's glowing symbols shimmered, the residual energy stabilizing completely. Kalen lowered his sword, breathing steadily. Lynara's tail flicked in satisfaction. The summoner avatar is neutralized. The final amplification has failed. Sonic looked around at his allies, quills catching the fading light. Bonds beyond worlds. Echoes of acceleration. Feels good, doesn't it? We did it together. The forest exhaled in subtle resonance, acknowledging the victory. The summoner's ultimate plan had been thwarted, but the lessons were clear. Speed, magic, strength, and trust, combined, could overcome even the most adaptive threats. The forest of Jura Tempest was quiet now, but the energy that had surged through it still shimmered faintly, a lingering echo of Sonic's speed and the Sentinel's magic. The summoner avatar lay dissipated, its tendrils unraveling into harmless sparks. Sonic's quills bristled as he slowed to a stop, catching his breath, but the familiar spark of excitement still danced in his eyes. Phew, that was wow, Sonic muttered, stretching and bouncing lightly. Nothing like a good old-fashioned high-speed team-up to get the adrenaline pumping. Lynara's amber eyes flickered with satisfaction. Your abilities are extraordinary, Sonic, but it is the combination, the trust and coordination between all of us that neutralized the summoner's ultimate strategy. Kalen nodded, sword still faintly glowing from residual energy. The summoner's adaptive layers could have overwhelmed any individual, even one with unmatched speed. It was only through precise synchronization and exploiting the feedback between kinetic force and magic that we succeeded. Selene hovered above, her robes glowing faintly, symbols still shimmering in the air. This battle demonstrates a principle that transcends worlds. Cooperation amplifies potential. Sonic, your speed was the catalyst, but it was our combined resonance that shattered the summoner avatar completely. Sonic grinned, brushing dust from his gloves. Bonds beyond worlds, huh? I get it now. It's not just about going fast. It's about going together. That's the real secret power. Milim giggled and fluttered down beside him. Yay! Team Sonic! I knew you could do it. You're amazing! From the forest's edge, faint glowing sigils began to coalesce, taking on the shape of a figure, smaller than the avatar but radiating intelligence and purpose. Sonic tilted his head, curiosity piqued. Whoa! What now? The figure's voice was calm, melodic, yet resonant, carrying across the clearing. Well done, travelers. Your speed, courage, and cooperation have exceeded all expectations. I am Elthara, an observer of this world tasked with monitoring the summoner's interference, EO. Sonic's grin widened. A monitor, huh? Sounds fancy. And I thought the summoners were the tough part. Elthara's form shimmered, translucent, yet solid. The summoners sought to exploit Tempest's magical currents for their own ends, but your interference has altered the balance. Not only has the avatar been neutralized, but the Nexus itself has stabilized beyond its prior state. You have restored harmony, and in doing so, demonstrated that speed alone is insufficient. Bonds, trust, and collaboration transcend any individual advantage. Sonic scratched his head, smirking. Well, I knew that, eventually. But still, it feels good to run with friends who can actually keep up, or at least cover me when I screw up. Lenara's tail flicked with a hint of amusement. You are confident, Sonic, but humility has its place. You have earned this victory, yet there are lessons beyond this battle. Kalen's sword lowered, and he spoke in measured tones. The summoner's ultimate intention was not merely to test strength or speed. They sought to measure potential alliances, how beings from different worlds with diverse abilities could interact and affect the balance of Tempest. Your victory proves that cooperation is the ultimate countermeasure to their manipulations. Celine's glowing hands faded slowly. The Nexus is stable now, and the residual distortions dissipate gradually. However, the echoes of your combined speed and magic will linger, creating a resonance that will strengthen the forest and its defenders for generations to come. Sonic's grin softened, quills twitching with satisfaction. Echoes of acceleration. I like that. Not bad for a day's work. Milim flapped her wings excitedly. That was awesome. You guys were like one unstoppable team. I want to see more of this. Althera nodded. Your cooperation has not only neutralized the summoner's final contingency, but it has also demonstrated the potential for interworld alliances. Tempest will remember this day, and so will I. Sonic, your abilities, combined with the Sentinels, have created a template for future defenders, beings capable of facing threats that surpass any single world. Sonic's quills bristled, a hint of pride in his voice. Template for defenders, huh? I can live with that. But you know, I kinda like just running fast too. Lenara chuckled softly. And running fast is what brought you here, Sonic. But now, you understand the greater potential, speed guided by trust, strategy, and magical resonance. That is a power even the summoners could not anticipate. Kalen's sword glimmered faintly as he sheathed it. Let this victory be remembered not only as a triumph of speed or magic, but as a testament to unity. Across worlds, across abilities, bonds are the true strength. Celine's eyes softened. The summoner's designs were meant to fracture and isolate. You have shown that bonds can break through manipulation, overcome adaptation, and turn chaos into harmony. Tempest owes its stability to your courage and collaboration. Sonic laughed, spinning lightly in place. I guess I learned something important today. Even the fastest thing alive benefits from friends who can keep up, and sometimes push you further than you'd go alone. Althara's form shimmered, fading slightly as their message concluded. Remember this lesson, travelers. The echoes of acceleration and the bonds you have forged will continue to influence Tempest. The world, and perhaps others, will be stronger because of you. Sonic crouched low, looking at his team. You hear that, team? We didn't just win, we made everything stronger. Now that's what I call a good day. Milim cheered. Yay! Friends and speed together. Best combo ever. Sonic smirked, quills catching the sunlight. Exactly. And I've got a feeling this isn't the last time Tempest or any other world, needs a little blue blur to shake things up. The forests settled into a gentle hum, the echoes of their combined speed, magic, and trust lingering like a heartbeat through Jura Tempest. Sonic, the Horizon Sentinels, and their allies stood together, a reminder that across worlds, bonds could create power beyond imagination, and that true acceleration was not just speed, it was unity. The forest had settled into a calm that felt almost sacred. The violent pulses of energy that had marked the summoner's final test had faded, leaving behind only faint ripples in the air and a lingering sense of accomplishment. Sonic crouched atop a mossy boulder, quills still slightly bristling, taking in the serenity of Jura Tempest. He was faster, wiser, and, surprisingly, more reflective than when he had first entered this world. Reincarnated beside him, tail flicking gently. The Nexus is stable, and the summoner avatar has been neutralized. Tempest's currents will remain balanced. Your efforts ensured that, Sonic. Sonic grinned, brushing a paw through his quills. Balance, huh? That's good. But I gotta say, the best part wasn't just the running or the battles. It was running with friends who actually had my back. Kalen sheathed his sword, a faint smile on his face. That is the essence of this journey. Your speed was the catalyst, but our coordination, our trust, was what tipped the scales. You have learned that power alone is never enough. It must be coupled with unity. Celine hovered lightly above them, her robes glowing faintly in the dappled sunlight. And the bonds formed here transcend worlds. Sonic, your presence, combined with our abilities, created a resonance that not only neutralized the summoner's designs, but strengthened Tempest itself. That is a rare achievement. Sonic's grin softened into something more genuine. I guess I never thought about it like that. I always just ran fast, ran hard, ran alone. But this was different, better. Milim flitted around, giggling and twirling in the air. Yay, you all work together. You're awesome. I want to see more adventures like this. Sonic chuckled, spinning lightly in place. Ha! More adventures, huh? Sounds good to me. But for now, we've earned a little peace. And maybe a snack or two. Reincarnated's amber eyes softened. Peace is well earned. But remember, the lessons of this journey will remain. Speed alone can open doors, but bonds are what keep them from closing. Kalen nodded, his gaze sweeping across the forest. The summoner's final contingency was a test of adaptation, coordination, and trust. You passed admirably. Tempest owes its stability to all of you. Celine's symbols shimmered one last time, fading into the air like falling stardust. The echoes of acceleration you created will persist, not as raw speed, but as harmony, proof that diverse abilities, united, can overcome even the most adaptive threats. Sonic crouched, taking a deep breath, feeling the faint pulses of the residual energy flowing calmly beneath his paws. I like that. Echoes of acceleration. Feels like, I don't know, like I left a part of me here, in Tempest. Milim giggled and perched on a nearby rock. You did, and we'll all remember it. Best team ever. A gentle hum of energy radiated through the forest, faint traces of the Nexus's power stabilizing permanently. Sonic glanced at his team, a soft smile on his face. You know, I think this is more than just about defeating a bad guy or winning a fight. It's about learning, growing, and helping each other along the way. That's the real victory. Reincarnated's tail twitched thoughtfully. Indeed. Sonic, you have proven that even across worlds, bonds can magnify potential beyond expectation. You leave a lasting mark on Tempest, not just as a force of speed, but as a symbol of unity. Kalen's voice was steady, yet carried a rare warmth. And in doing so, you have inspired all who witnessed these events. The lessons learned here will shape the defenders of Tempest for generations to come. Celine leaned closer to Sonic, her hands glowing faintly. Your journey does not end here, Sonic. The speed that defines you, the instincts that guide you, and the bonds you have forged will follow you beyond this world. Tempest and its defenders are stronger because of you. Sonic's quills bristled as he grinned widely. Guess it's time to head back home. I won't forget this place, or you guys.